Hey everybody, welcome back with me, Jackie Handy. This is Inclusion Differently, and this is part 2. So, are you ready? Let's get started. Hey, welcome back. And I'd like to say thank you so much for tuning in again. If you tuned in last time, then you'll know that we spoke for probably about 15 minutes all about understanding values. So what we're talking about on this series is the Little Book of Belonging. You'll see the one behind me, there it is. And also we talked about this particular quote, which was, when was the last time that I sat with a friend or colleague to talk about their values and understand their values. So if you haven't seen that yet, I know there's a couple of people watching, so give me a thumbs up or say hi if you're watching. But if you haven't seen that yet, you'll be able to find it on my Facebook page. You'll also be able to find it on LinkedIn. So I do a lot on LinkedIn. So by all means, do connect with me on LinkedIn. You just look for Jackie Handy and you'll find me. Now, in terms of this second video, I'm a little bit later than planned today. I've had a few things going on this morning, but I wanted really to talk about the second in the book, and that particular quote is this one. So it's all about, what do people around me need in order to feel valued and included? Thank you for the light that's coming up. Keep those coming. Give me a few hearts as well. That would be great. So what's this all about? Well, very similar in part to what we talked about last time, and understanding and really getting under the skin of people's values. And the reason for that is that really it's all about understanding, not necessarily a cohort of people, but the person to the left and the person to the right of me. And that's super, super important. So you'll know that I talk about small steps. You'd have seen in the video clip there that I talk about small steps. And if we all are committed to taking small steps consistently, then absolutely that is when we will start to make a difference. And indeed, thank you for the hearts, but indeed, if we had all on this planet taken just one small step each by now, then we would have made a difference already. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't see difference. We are all different, and despite what we might like to think, we see difference. But the important thing is really getting under the skin of what that difference means in terms of how we can then adapt our behaviors and our language in order to truly give that person a deep felt sense of belonging. I said in the last video that you can't simply say to someone, it's okay, we're inclusive and you belong. You simply have to create an environment in the way that you behave each and every day, and the words that you use each and every day, to ensure that that person truly feels it, because that's what inclusion is. It's not really a thing, it's a felt sense of belonging. So that's my belief system. So let's go back to this question today then. So what do people around me need in order to feel valued and included? Now, the reason I think this is so important is that it reminds us that we should make sure that we never assume. So you've heard the old, makes an ass out of you and me and all that, but never assume that you know what someone else is going through at any given time. We can never truly understand what is going on for someone, and as the map behind me metaphorically speaks out to say, is that We all have our own unique map of the world, our own experiences that shape us. I was having a conversation with somebody earlier today, and we were talking about just how, two people who might look the same or on the surface have similar characteristics may have had very, very different life experiences. And it's those experiences that shape the map. So how indeed can we ever know just by looking at someone what they need from us in order to feel valued? So never assume would be my first tip in relation to that. And the second tip is this: think outside of the box. Now, boxes being labelled boxes. So boxes being those cohorts of society. If you're in the UK, then you'll know them as the 9 protected characteristics. If you've not heard of them, check them out. But things like age and gender and colour and sexual orientation and disability and so forth and so forth. So these are characteristics which may, if we can see them, and we can't of course always see them, but on the surface would lead us to judge people in a particular way. So never assume, but also think outside of the box. Just because somebody may be a wheelchair user doesn't necessarily mean that they have the same experience and the same needs and wants in life as another person who is a wheelchair user. So we have to be very mindful of the sweeping statements and the sweeping belief systems that we have within us, just to really ensure that we are being fair and inclusive. So it's a short one today. I just really wanted to leave that with you to say, well, if you're not going to assume and you're going to think outside of the box, then take that time. Remember, I said last time in the video, think about positive intention all the way, and that's going to be a theme that threads throughout this series of videos. Your positive intention to get the best out of another human being. And the second thing, of course, is to seek permission. If we want to understand, we have to ask questions, and those questions can feel invasive if they're not framed in the right way. So seek out permission. So before I go, I will just recap this quote from last week to ask you, well, have you done anything differently on the back of it? Because, hey, you might have fun watching me on screen, but actually, and I hope you do, but what are you actually doing with it? Are you following this through? Are you following this up? Are you seeking out somebody that you would like to uncover more about in terms of their values? And have you then, because you can now build on that, have you then looked to ask them what it is that they need in order to feel valued? So what in their environment, what do they need from you in terms of the way in which you behave towards them, the language that you use with them? All those things are super important, and yet they are such simple steps. So remember, if the world did just a couple of small things, we could make a big difference in this world. It just needs a little bit of consistency and a little bit of commitment. And if you haven't yet got your copy of the Little Book of Belonging, you can see it, there it is behind me on the shelf, then head over to JackieHandy.com/shop, and that's where you'll be able to find it. And if you're watching from around the world, then don't worry, I can ship to you as well. And that is your weekly guide to inclusive habits. So it's a question and a reflective quote each week. And I'll be coming up live on Facebook. It'll probably be recorded, and you'll see the recorded version with subtitles that will be on LinkedIn, and it'll also be on my YouTube channel. I forgot to mention that, Jackie Handy. So if you haven't yet subscribed, you know what to do. Click the button, please do. Leave me your comments, leave me your thoughts. Do share this with anyone else who is looking to become more inclusive, or indeed works in the space. I work with lots of companies too. And for now, I'm going to leave that with you. So if you think about nothing else, think about the person to the left, the person to the right of you, just as a fellow human being, and find out what they need in order to truly feel valued in your behaviour and your language. And together, everybody, we will make a difference in this world. Just one small step at a time. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next week. Bye for now.